I found the mortgage notices stuffed behind my mother's jewellery box like dirty secrets. 3 months overdue. Final notice stamped in angry red ink across the top. My name is Autumn, and I've been cleaning up my family's messes for as long as I can remember. But this was different. Autumn, honey, could you grab the good china from the top shelf? Mom called from the kitchen, her voice carrying that familiar tone that meant I was about to do something she could easily do herself. I slipped the notices into my purse and headed downstairs. The house buzzed with pre-party energy. Their 50th anniversary celebration was tomorrow, and naturally I was handling everything. The catering, the decorations, the guest list, even the flowers, because God forbid Gemma chip a nail arranging roses. There you are. Mum smiled that practice smile she reserved for when she needed something. Could you also check on the ice situation and maybe call the caterer one more time? You know how unreliable people can be. Already done. Twice. I reached for the china, noting how she didn't even offer to help. Ice is handled, caterer confirmed, and I picked up Dad's suit from the cleaners. What would we do without you? She patted my arm absently, already moving on to fuss with the centerpieces I'd arranged an hour ago. The front door slammed, followed by the distinctive click of expensive heels on hardwood. Gemma was home. "Mom, you'll never guess what happened." My sister burst into the dining room like a small, perfectly groomed tornado. At 29, she still moved through the world, expecting it to rearrange itself for her convenience. Grant surprised me with the most amazing spa day, and then we went shopping and... Slow down, sweetheart. Mum's entire face transformed, lighting up in a way that never happened when I walked into a room. Tell me everything. I continued setting the table while Gemma launched into a detailed account of her day. Massage, facial, lunch at some trendy place downtown, shopping for a dress she absolutely had to have for tomorrow's party. It was only $800, and it's perfect. Grant said I looked like a goddess. She spun around, showing off shopping bags. "Oh, and I might need to borrow some jewellery, something sparkly." "Of course, darling, whatever you need." Mom was practically glowing. "Autumn, could you help Gemma pick something out later?" "Sure." I folded napkins with mechanical precision. "How's Grant paying for all this? Last I heard, he was between jobs." Gemma's smile faltered for just a second. "He's got some things lined up, big opportunities." "I'm sure he does." "Girls." Dad appeared in the doorway, loosening his tie. At 62, he still carried himself like the successful businessman he used to be, before a series of questionable investments and an inability to say no to his youngest daughter started eating away at everything he'd built. "How are my beautiful daughters?" Gemma launched herself at him for a hug. "Daddy, I was just telling Mom about my amazing day. That's my girl." He kissed the top of her head, then looked at me over her shoulder. "Autumn, everything's set for tomorrow." "Everything's handled." Good, good, you're so reliable." He said it like he was commenting on the weather. Reliable. Like I was a kitchen appliance. "Actually, Dad, there's something we should probably discuss." I pulled out one of the notices, keeping my voice casual. "I found these upstairs." The colour drained from his face as he recognised the letterhead. Mum went very still. "Where did you... How did you..." Dad sputtered. "I was looking for Mum's anniversary gift. It was behind her jewellery box." I watched their faces carefully. 3 months behind on the mortgage. That seems like something the family should know about. "It's just a temporary setback," Mum said quickly. "We're handling it." "Are you?" I looked between them. "Because this says you have 30 days before foreclosure proceedings begin." Gemma looked confused. "What's foreclosure?" The silence stretched until Dad cleared his throat. "We've got it under control, Autumn. Don't worry about it." Don't worry about it. Like I hadn't been worrying about everything for the past decade while they threw money at Gemma's whims and Grant's schemes. "If you need help," I started. "We don't need help." Dad's voice had that edge it got when his pride was threatened. "This is family business." Family business, right, the kind of family business where I handled everything but wasn't trusted with the truth. I smiled and slipped the notice back into my purse. Of course, I just want tomorrow to be perfect for you both. Later that night, after they'd all gone to bed, I sat in my car outside the house and opened my laptop. The LLC I'd established 6 months ago was still active, still funded, still waiting for the right opportunity. I pulled up the mortgage company's website and started typing. The anniversary party was everything Mom had dreamed of. Elegant, expensive, and revolving entirely around her and Dad's perfect love story. I watched from the kitchen doorway as guests mingled in the living room, champagne glasses catching the light from the chandelier I'd spent 3 hours cleaning yesterday. Autumn, could you check on the appetizers? Mom glided past me in her new dress, the one Gemma had helped her pick out during their shopping trip last week. And maybe refresh the ice. Already done, I gestured to the perfectly arranged platters. Everything's set. She barely glanced at my work before floating back to her guests. I caught fragments of conversations as I moved through the room with fresh champagne. 50 years, can you believe it? They look so happy. What a beautiful family. Gemma held court near the fireplace, stunning in her $800 dress and Mom's diamond earrings. Grant stood beside her, one arm around her waist, the other holding a drink that definitely wasn't his first. Autumn's been such a help, I heard Mom telling Mrs. Patterson from next door. I don't know what we'd do without her. She's so good at organising things. Organising things, like I was the hired help. And Gemma, Mrs. Patterson prompted. Mum's face transformed. Oh, Gemma's got such an artistic soul. She's exploring her options right now, taking time to find her passion. Taking time to spend their money, more like it. I slipped back into the kitchen to check on the main course. The catering staff moved efficiently around me, but I still felt the need to oversee everything, because if something went wrong, guess who'd get blamed? The salmon looks perfect, I told the head caterer. Thanks to your detailed instructions, she replied. Most clients just say, make it nice and leave us to figure it out. That's because most clients weren't used to being the only responsible person in their family. I was arranging dessert plates when I heard voices from the pantry. Dad and Mom speaking in urgent whispers. Called again this morning, Dad was saying. During the party prep, what did you tell them? Same thing as always, that we need more time. How much more time do we have? I don't know, Viv. Maybe a few weeks if we're lucky. My hands stilled on the plates. What about asking Autumn? She's always been good with money. Absolutely not. Dad's voice was firm. This family doesn't air its dirty laundry. We'll figure something out. But if we lose the house... We won't lose the house. I'll talk to the bank again on Monday. They emerged from the pantry, Dad straightening his tie, Mum smoothing her hair. Neither noticed me standing there. The evening continued with toasts and speeches. Gemma gave a tearful tribute to their perfect example of true love. Grant mumbled something about family values. Various relatives shared memories and well wishes. When it was my turn, I kept it simple. To Mom and Dad, thank you for teaching me the importance of taking care of family. The applause was polite but distracted. Everyone was already looking forward to cake. Later, as guests began to leave, I overheard Amber from next door talking to her husband by the front door. Did you see Gemma's dress? Must have cost a fortune. And that boyfriend of hers, he's been nursing the same drink all night. Probably can't afford to buy his own. I heard through the grapevine that Brock's business hasn't been doing well lately. Really? They certainly don't act like it. I pretended to be busy collecting empty glasses while I listened. Well, you know how it is with some families. All show, no substance. After the last guest left, the family gathered in the living room. Dad loosened his tie, Mum kicked off her heels, and Gemma collapsed dramatically onto the sofa. What a perfect evening, Mom sighed. Everything was absolutely beautiful, Autumn. Thank you. It was nothing. Don't be modest, Gemma said, scrolling through photos on her phone. You're like our personal event planner. Oh, look at this one of me and Grant. We look amazing. She held up her phone, showing a selfie of them by the fireplace. Grant's arm was around her, both of them smiling like they didn't have a care in the world. You two make such a beautiful couple, Mom cooed. We're thinking about taking a trip to Europe next month, Gemma announced. Grant found this amazing deal. Dad's smile tightened almost imperceptibly. That sounds expensive. Oh, it's not that bad. Besides, you only live once, right? I gathered the last of the glasses and headed to the kitchen. Through the window, I could see Amber still standing in her driveway, phone pressed to her ear, probably sharing tonight's gossip with whoever would listen. Back in the living room, my family continued planning Gemma's European adventure, their voices bright with the kind of optimism that comes from never having to face consequences. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. The message I'd been waiting for sat at the top of my inbox subject line, "Mortgage transfer complete." I smiled and deleted it. 3 days after the anniversary party, I sat across from Hazel at our usual coffee shop, watching her face change as I told her about the mortgage transfer. "You did what?" She set down her latte so hard it sloshed onto the table. "I bought their debt. It's perfectly legal." "Legal doesn't mean right, Autumn." Hazel grabbed napkins, dabbing at the spill with sharp, angry movements. "This is your family we're talking about. Is it?" I stirred my coffee slowly, because family doesn't usually treat each other like unpaid servants. "Tell me you're not serious about this." I pulled out my phone and showed her the documentation. "Dead serious." Hazel stared at the screen, then at me. "How long have you been planning this?" "Remember when Gemma crashed her car last year, the one Dad bought her for her birthday? The BMW? She totaled it 3 weeks later. Drunk driving, but Daddy's lawyer made it disappear." I took a sip of coffee. Dad came to me that night, asking if I could help out with the insurance deductible, $5,000. "You gave it to him." "I gave it to him, just like I gave them money for Gemma's credit card debt the year before, and her security deposit when she got evicted, and Grant's business loan that we all knew he'd never pay back." Hazel was quiet for a long moment. "So this is about money?" "This is about 28 years of being invisible unless they needed something." My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Could you pick up groceries for Sunday dinner? Gemma's bringing Grant and we want to make a good impression." I showed Hazel the message. "See? Not would you mind, or if you have time. Just an assumption that I'll drop everything. So don't do it. I tried that once. Remember my college graduation?" Hazel winced. She remembered. "I asked them to come. Just once. I wanted them to see me accomplish something. But Gemma had a gallery opening that same weekend, some amateur art show where she sold exactly 0 paintings. They chose the art show. They chose Gemma, like they always do." I typed back a simple no and put my phone away. "You know what Mom said when I called to tell them I'd graduated summa cum laude? That's nice, honey. Did you remember to send Gemma flowers for her show?" "Autumn, I'm 32 years old, Hazel. I have a successful business, my own house, money in the bank, and they still see me as the backup plan." My phone buzzed again. "Mom, what do you mean no? It's just groceries." Then another text. "Gemma's really excited about this dinner. Don't ruin it for her." I showed Hazel both messages. "Jesus," she muttered. "Want to hear something funny? Last month Gemma told her friends that I was lucky to have such a simple life. No pressure, no expectations, just coasting along." She said that. Grant posted it on social media, a video of her talking about how some people are just meant to be in supporting roles. I laughed, but it came out bitter. Supporting roles in my own family. Hazel reached across the table and grabbed my hand. "This isn't you, Autumn. You're not vindictive." "Maybe I should be. What happens when they find out?" "They'll find out when I want them to find out." My phone rang. Dad's name on the screen. "Don't answer it," Hazel said. I answered it. Autumn, your mother says you can't pick up groceries for Sunday dinner. That's right. Is everything okay? You sound different. I'm fine, Dad, just busy. Too busy to help your family. The question hung in the air. How many times had I heard those exact words? Yes, I said finally. Too busy. Silence on the other end. Well, I suppose we'll figure something out. I'm sure you will. After I hung up, Hazel stared at me. You're really doing this. I'm really doing this. What's the end game here? You evict them and then what? Then they learn what consequences feel like. And you? What do you get out of this? I thought about that for a moment. Peace. Later that evening, I drove past Gemma's apartment complex. Her car was in the parking lot. The new one Dad had co-signed for last month. Through her window I could see her and Grant celebrating something, champagne glasses raised. My phone buzzed with a notification from her Instagram story. A photo of the champagne with the caption, "Everything always works out for me. Karma loves me." I screenshotted it and saved it to my phone. Then I called my lawyer. "Emery, it's Autumn. I need to move forward with that property matter we discussed. Are you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything in my life." Sunday dinner happened without me, but Monday morning brought the fallout. Dad called at 7 a.m. "We need to talk. Family meeting. Tonight." "I'm working tonight." "Cancel it. This is important." The line went dead before I could respond. I showed up at 6, finding them all gathered in the living room like some twisted intervention. Mum perched on the edge of the sofa, Gemma curled up in Dad's chair, Grant sprawled on the love seat like he owned the place. "There she is," Gemma said without looking up from her phone. "The grocery strike continues, I see." "Sit down, Autumn." Dad's voice had that boardroom authority he used when he wanted to intimidate people. "We need to discuss your recent behaviour." "My behaviour?" "The attitude, the refusal to help. Your mother and I are concerned." I remained standing. "Concerned about what?" "About you forgetting your place in this family," Mum said, her voice sharp. "We've always been able to count on you." "To do what, exactly?" "To be supportive," Dad said. "To help when we need it." "Like now," Gemma added, finally looking up. "We have a situation." "Here it comes." Dad cleared his throat. "Gemma needs a new car. The lease on her current one is up, and the buyout is more than we anticipated." "How much more?" $15,000, Mom said quickly. "But the new car she wants is perfect for her. Reliable, safe, expensive," I finished. "It's a BMW," Gemma said defensively. "I can't drive around in some economy car. I have an image to maintain." Grant nodded sagely. Image is everything in her line of work. "What line of work?" I asked. "Last I checked, you were exploring your options." Gemma's eyes flashed. "I'm building my brand. Social media influencing is a real career." "With what, 300 followers?" "It's about quality, not quantity," Grant said. "Gemma's engagement rates are incredible." I looked at him. "And what's your contribution to this brand-building empire?" "I'm her manager," he said, puffing up slightly. "I handle the business side." "Right. So you need 15,000 for a car buyout, plus whatever the new BMW costs. What's that? Another 40,000. 55, Dad said quietly. 70,000 total for a car. "It's an investment," Gemma said, "in my future." "And you want me to co-sign the loan?" "You have the best credit," Mom said, "and the most stable income. Plus you don't have any real expenses," Gemma added. "No kids, no husband, just yourself." The words hit like a slap. Just yourself, like my life was somehow less valuable because I hadn't followed their script. "What if I say no?" The room went silent. "You won't say no," Dad said finally, "because you're family, and family helps family." "Family helps family," I repeated slowly. "Is that what we're calling this?" "What else would we call it?" Mom asked. "Exploitation," Gemma laughed. Oh, please, don't be so dramatic. Dramatic? I've been bankrolling this family for years. Your credit card debt, your rent, your car insurance, That's what sisters do, Gemma interrupted. They support each other. When have you ever supported me? I don't need to support you. You're fine on your own. You always land on your feet. Because I work for it. And I work too, she snapped. Just because my work is different doesn't mean it's not valid. What work? Name one thing you've accomplished that you paid for yourself. Gemma's face flushed red. I don't have to justify my life to you. But I have to justify mine to you. Every time you need money, I have to explain why I might not want to give it. Girls, please, Mom said. This isn't helping anyone. You're right, I said, pulling out my phone. Let me just transfer the money right now. $70,000 for a car that Gemma will probably crash within 6 months. I won't crash it, Gemma protested. Like you didn't crash the last one. That was different. The road was wet. You were drunk. I was not drunk. I had 2 drinks. The police report said otherwise. Dad stood up. Enough. Autumn, are you going to help your sister or not? I looked around the room. At Mom, who'd never once asked about my dreams or goals. At Dad, who saw me as a walking ATM. At Grant, who contributed nothing but felt entitled to everything. At Gemma, who'd just dismissed my entire existence as unimportant. No, I said. No. Gemma's voice went up an octave. No, I'm not co-signing anything. I'm not giving you money. I'm done. You can't be serious, Mom said. Dead serious. Gemma jumped up from the chair. Fine, be selfish. But don't come crying to us when you need something. When have I ever needed anything from you? You need us more than you think, she said, her voice turning nasty. Who's going to care about you when you're old and alone? Who's going to visit you in the nursing home? Probably the same people who visit me now, I said. Nobody. That's not true, Mom said weakly. Isn't it? When's the last time any of you called just to see how I was doing? When's the last time you asked about my life, my work, my feelings about anything? Silence. That's what I thought. I headed for the door. Where are you going? Dad called. Home. To my empty, selfish life. Autumn, wait, Mom said. I turned back. What? We love you. You know that, right? I looked at her for a long moment. No, Mom, I really don't. Gemma's voice followed me to the door. Thanks for knowing your place, Autumn. Finally. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, hands shaking with rage. Then I pulled out my phone and opened my email. The confirmation was still there. Mortgage transfer complete. I forwarded it to my lawyer with a simple message. Proceed with eviction notice, 30 days. Then I drove home and poured myself a very large glass of wine. Emery's office smelled like leather and expensive coffee. He sat across from me, the eviction papers spread between us like a battle plan. I have to ask one more time, he said, adjusting his glasses. Are you absolutely certain about this? I've never been more certain of anything. Because once we serve these papers, there's no taking it back. Your relationship with your family will be permanently altered. I picked up the documents, scanning the legal language that would change everything. My relationship with my family was altered a long time ago. I'm just making it official. 30 days is the minimum required notice in this state, Emery continued. But you could give them more time. 60 days, 90 days. 30 days is what they gave me my entire life. 30 days to figure out how to pay for Gemma's latest crisis. 30 days to find money for Dad's bad investments. 30 days to clean up whatever mess they'd made. Emery sighed and pulled out his pen. Where do you want the papers served? The house, tomorrow morning. Make sure they're all there. How can you be sure they'll all be there? I smiled. Because I'm hosting a family brunch to apologize for my behavior the other night. Jesus, Autumn. What? I can't help it if they're predictable. After I left Emery's office, I stopped by the grocery store. If I was going to do this, I might as well do it right. Eggs Benedict, fresh fruit, mimosas, all of Gemma's favourites. My phone rang as I was selecting oranges. "Autumn," Mum's voice was cautious. "I got your text about brunch tomorrow." I thought it would be nice, a chance to talk things through properly. "That's wonderful, honey. I'm so glad you're being reasonable about this." Reasonable, right. "Will everyone be there?" "Of course. Gemma's so excited. She said she knew you'd come around." "I'm sure she did. Should we bring anything?" "Just yourselves. I've got everything covered." After I hung up, I continued shopping, adding items to my cart with methodical precision. Everything had to be perfect. That evening, Hazel called. "Please tell me you're not going through with this. I'm making eggs Benedict tomorrow. Want the recipe?" "Autumn, I'm serious. This is going to destroy your family." "My family destroyed itself. I'm just documenting it." "What about forgiveness? What about being the bigger person?" I paused in my meal prep. I tried being the bigger person for 32 years. It got me a front row seat to my own exploitation. But this is so calculated, so cold. You know what's cold? Gemma telling me I know my place. Mom asking who's going to visit me in the nursing home. Dad treating me like an ATM with legs. So you're going to make them homeless? I'm going to make them face consequences. There's a difference. Is there? I didn't answer that. The next morning I was up at 6 preparing everything. The table looked perfect. Mum's good china, fresh flowers, cloth napkins, like a magazine spread. At 9:30, Amber from next door knocked on my front door. "Autumn, I hope you don't mind me asking, but I saw a man in a suit taking pictures of your parents' house earlier. Is everything okay?" "I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. It's just that he had official-looking papers, and you know how people talk." "I really wouldn't know anything about that, Amber." She lingered on the doorstep. "Well, if there's anything I can do to help, I'll keep that in mind." After she left, I checked my phone. A text from Emery. "Papers served. They seemed surprised." At 10:15 my family arrived. Dad looked grim, Mom was pale, and Gemma clutched Grant's arm like he was a life preserver. "What the hell is this about?" Dad demanded before they were even through the door. "Good morning to you too. Come in, sit down. Brunch is almost ready." "Don't play games with us," Mom said, her voice shaking. "We got papers this morning, eviction papers." "Did you? How strange." Gemma stepped forward, her face twisted with rage. "You bought our house. You bought our fucking house. Language, Gemma. Don't you dare lecture me about language. How could you do this to us?" I gestured to the dining room. "Why don't we sit down and discuss this like adults?" "Adults!" Dad's voice was getting louder. "Adults don't ambush their families with legal documents. Adults also don't spend 30 years treating their children like personal ATMs. But here we are." Grant, who'd been silent until now, finally spoke up. "This is insane. You can't just kick people out of their own home." "Actually, I can. It's my home now." "We raised you in this house," Mom said, tears starting to fall. "We gave you everything. You gave Gemma everything. You gave me chores." "That's not true." "Mom, stop. Please, we both know it's true." I walked to the kitchen and returned with the envelope I'd prepared. "These are copies of every bank transfer, every loan I co-signed, every bill I paid for this family over the past 10 years. I spread the papers across the dining table, covering the perfect place settings. Gemma's credit cards, $43,000. Her car payments, $18,000. Rent and security deposits, $12,000. Grants, business loans, $25,000. You kept track." Gemma's voice was barely a whisper. "I kept track. $115,000. Plus interest, that's about $140,000 in today's money." "We never asked you to keep track," Dad said. You never asked me a lot of things, like whether I wanted to give up my savings for your mistakes, whether I minded being treated like hired help at family gatherings, whether I had dreams of my own. So, this is revenge? Mom asked. This is consequences. Grant's phone started ringing. He looked at the screen and stepped away to answer it. Yeah? What? No, that can't be right. His voice got higher. What do you mean the account is frozen? He hung up and stared at Gemma. Babe, we have a problem. What account? Gemma grabbed Grant's phone, her face going white as she read the screen. The joint account, Grant said, backing toward the door. The one your dad set up for us. It's frozen, all of it. Dad's face went ashen. That's impossible. I just transferred. You transferred what? I asked, though I already knew. The down payment for Gemma's car. It was supposed to go through this morning. From what account? Silence. Dad, from what account? The business account, he said quietly. The one that's been overdrawn for 3 months? More silence. Gemma was frantically scrolling through her phone. My credit cards aren't working either. What did you do? I didn't do anything to your credit cards. Then why? She stopped, her face crumpling as understanding hit. The co-signer accounts. You were the co-signer. And I removed myself yesterday. You can't do that. Actually, I can. It's called financial responsibility. Grant was edging closer to the front door. Look, this is a family thing, so I'm just gonna... Don't you dare leave me, Gemma shrieked. Babe, I can't deal with this drama right now. Drama? This is my life. Yeah, well, your life just got a lot more complicated. Grant grabbed his jacket. Call me when you figure this out. The front door slammed behind him. Gemma stared at the closed door, then whirled around to face me. Look what you've done. You've ruined everything. I've ruined everything. Grant just abandoned you the second your money dried up, and somehow that's my fault. He's just stressed. He'll come back. Will he? Because that looked pretty final to me. Shut up! Gemma lunged toward me, but Dad caught her arm. Gemma, stop! No, she's destroying our family. Our family was already destroyed, I said calmly. I'm just making it visible. Mum was crying now, ugly sobs that shook her whole body. How could you do this to us? We're your parents. And I'm your daughter. When did you start treating me like one? We've always... When, Mom? Give me one example of when you treated me like I mattered as much as Gemma. She opened her mouth, then closed it. That's what I thought. A knock at the front door interrupted us. Through the window I could see Amber and 2 other neighbours standing on the porch. Don't answer it, Dad said quickly. Another knock, more insistent this time. Autumn, is everything okay in there? Amber's voice carried through the door. We heard shouting. Gemma was pacing now, her hands shaking. This is a nightmare. This is an actual nightmare. It's about to get worse, I said, walking to the door. Don't you dare, Dad started. I opened the door. Amber stood there with Mrs. Patterson and Mr. Rodriguez from across the street, all of them trying to look concerned instead of curious. Hi, Amber. Everything's fine. We heard yelling, Mrs. Patterson said, craning her neck to see past me. And there was that man with the papers this morning. Just a family discussion, I said pleasantly. You know how it is. Behind me, Gemma let out a wail. My whole life is ruined. The neighbours exchanged glances. Are you sure everything's okay? Mr. Rodriguez asked. Positive, but thank you for checking. I started to close the door, but Gemma's voice rose again. 30 days! She's giving us 30 days to get out of our own house. I closed my eyes. There it was. Excuse me, Amber's eyebrows shot up. It's complicated, I said. She bought our mortgage. Gemma appeared behind me, mascara streaking down her cheeks. My own sister is evicting us. The neighbours stared. Mrs. Patterson's mouth actually fell open. Gemma, please go inside, I said. Why? So you can pretend this isn't happening, so you can keep up your perfect image. My perfect image. Little Miss Responsible, Little Miss Reliable, but you're just as petty and vindictive as the rest of us. At least I'm honest about it. Dad appeared in the doorway. Neighbours, I'm sorry about this. Family business, you understand. Is it true? Amber asked. Did Autumn really buy your house? Dad's jaw worked silently. It's true, Mum said from behind him, her voice hollow. She owns our home now. The neighbours looked between us, their faces a mixture of shock and barely concealed excitement. This would be all over the neighbourhood by dinner time. Well, Mrs. Patterson said finally, I suppose these things happen. Not in my family they don't, Mr. Rodriguez muttered. After they left, we stood in the hallway, the weight of public humiliation settling over us like a blanket. Congratulations, Dad said bitterly. The whole neighbourhood knows our business now. Good. Maybe they'll finally see what this family is really like. What we're really like, Mum's voice was rising again. We're people who loved you and trusted you. You're people who used me. We gave you a home. We fed you, clothed you, sent you to college. You did the bare minimum required by law. That's not love, Mum. That's obligation. Gemma slumped against the wall. What am I supposed to do now? Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Figure it out. I can't figure it out. I don't know how to live without help. Then maybe it's time you learned. She stared at me like I was a stranger. You really hate us, don't you? I looked at my sister, spoiled, helpless, 29 years old and completely unprepared for reality. No, Gemma, I don't hate you, but I don't love you enough to destroy myself for you anymore. My phone buzzed. A text from Grant. Tell Gemma I'm staying at my buddy's place. Need some space to think. I showed her the message. She read it and started crying again. 30 days, I said quietly. That's what the eviction notice says. I suggest you use them wisely. 2 weeks later, I drove past the house to find a moving truck in the driveway. Mum was directing 2 men carrying boxes, her movements sharp and efficient. She'd always been good in a crisis when it affected her directly. I parked across the street and watched. Dad emerged from the garage carrying a lamp I remembered from childhood, his shoulders slumped in defeat. No sign of Gemma. My phone rang. Hazel. Are you sitting outside their house right now? I looked around. How did you... Because I know you, and because Mrs. Patterson called me. Apparently the whole neighbourhood's been watching the drama unfold. I'm not doing anything, just observing. Autumn, come on, this is getting weird. What's weird is watching my parents actually pack their own belongings for once. Through the phone I heard Hazel sigh. Where are they going? Dad's brother offered them the guest house behind his place, temporarily. And Gemma? Haven't seen her. As if summoned, Gemma's car pulled up. She got out slowly like she was walking to her execution. Even from across the street, I could see she'd been crying. She's here now, I told Hazel. I'm coming over. Don't, but she'd already hung up. I watched Gemma approach the house. Mum said something to her, sharp and quick. Gemma's shoulders shook. Dad put his arm around her, and for a moment they looked like what they'd always pretended to be, a loving family supporting each other through hard times. Except the hard times were my doing. A tap on my passenger window made me jump. Amber stood there holding a casserole dish. I rolled down the window. Hi, Amber. I was just taking this over to your parents. Thought they might need a meal with all the packing. That's thoughtful. It must be so hard for you watching them go through this. Her tone was fishing, probing. I could see the curiosity burning in her eyes. It is what it is. I mean, family disputes can be so complicated. I'm sure there are 2 sides to every story. I'm sure there are. She waited for me to elaborate. When I didn't, she shifted the casserole to her other hand. Well, I should get this over to them before it gets cold. I watched her cross the street, her pace a little too eager. Within minutes, she was deep in conversation with Mom on the front porch. Another car pulled up. Hazel's Honda. She got in my passenger seat without invitation. This is pathetic. Thanks for the pep talk. I'm serious. You're sitting here like some kind of stalker, watching your family pack up their lives. They're not my family anymore. Bullshit. You wouldn't be here if that were true. Across the street, Gemma came out of the house carrying a small suitcase. She looked around the neighbourhood like she was seeing it for the last time, then got back in her car. Where's she going? Hazel asked. I don't know. Gemma's car pulled away from the curb. As it passed us, she looked directly at me through the windshield. Her face was blank, empty, no anger, no tears, just nothing. Jesus, Hazel whispered. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Gemma, new phone. Grant's gone for good. Staying with a friend until I figure things out. Hope you're happy. I showed Hazel the message. Are you happy? I stared at the text. I don't know. What did you think would happen? I thought they'd learn. I thought they'd finally understand what their actions cost. And instead they're broken. Dad came out of the house carrying a box of photo albums. He stumbled slightly on the front steps, and one of the albums fell open, pictures scattering across the walkway. Mom rushed to help him gather them up. I could see them from here, family photos, birthday parties, Christmas mornings, all the moments that looked perfect from the outside. You could stop this, Hazel said quietly. How? Call off the eviction, give them the house back. And then what? Go back to being their personal ATM, pretend none of this happened? Maybe, if it means keeping your family together. My family was never together. It was just me, holding everyone else up. The moving truck pulled away. Dad locked the front door and handed the keys to Mum. She held them for a moment, then dropped them in her purse. They got in their car without looking back. It's done, I said. Yeah, it is. We sat in silence for a few minutes. The house looked different already, emptier, sadder, like it knew it had been abandoned. What now? Hazel asked. Now I go home. To your empty house. To my quiet house. Same thing. I started the engine. Maybe. As we drove away, I caught a glimpse of Amber in my rearview mirror, still standing on the sidewalk, watching us leave. By tomorrow, everyone would know the whole story. The James family drama would be neighbourhood legend. Autumn? Yeah? Do you think they'll forgive you? I thought about Gemma's empty face, Mom's shaking hands, Dad's defeated shoulders. No, I said, I don't think they will. Do you want them to? That was the question I'd been avoiding for weeks. I don't know, I said finally. I honestly don't know. The house felt different when I walked through it alone. Empty rooms echoed with 32 years of memories, most of them mine, cleaning and organising and trying to make everything perfect for people who never noticed. I found myself in Gemma's old bedroom staring at the pale rectangles on the wall where her posters used to hang. She'd left in such a hurry that she'd forgotten things. A jewellery box on the dresser, some clothes in the closet, a stack of magazines by the bed. On the nightstand was an envelope with my name on it, written in Mom's careful handwriting. Inside was a single sheet of paper, a letter I'd written when I was 8 years old, the kind of thing kids write to their parents when they're trying to be grown up. Dear Mommy, I cleaned my room and Gemma's room too because she was sad about her goldfish. I made her a card and used my allowance to buy her a new fish. I hope that's okay. I love you. Love, Autumn. At the bottom, in Mom's handwriting, found this in my jewellery box. I kept it all these years. I'm sorry I never told you. My hands were shaking as I read it again. 8 years old and I was already fixing things, already putting Gemma first, already trying to earn love through service, and Mum had kept the letter. For 24 years she'd kept it. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Autumn, it's Dad. I sat down on Gemma's bed. Hi, I wanted to call before we settled in at your uncle's place. Okay, I found something while we were packing, in the basement. Do you remember your college applications? I did remember. I'd applied to 12 schools, gotten into 10, including 2 Ivy League universities with partial scholarships. You kept them. Your mother did. She kept everything, every report card, every award, every letter from teachers saying how proud they were of you. I closed my eyes. Dad, we were proud too. We never knew how to show it. Gemma needed so much attention, so much help, and you were always so capable, so independent. So you ignored me. We took you for granted. There's a difference. Is there? Silence on his end. Dad, why are you calling me? Because I want you to know that what you did, it wasn't wrong. I wasn't expecting that. We failed you, Autumn. For 32 years, we failed you. And when you finally stood up for yourself, we called you selfish. You did. We were wrong. About everything. I heard Mom's voice in the background asking who he was talking to. Is Mom there? She's here. Do you want to talk to her? I don't know. Autumn? Mom's voice came on the line, tentative and small. I read your letter, the one from when you were 8. I saw that you kept it. I kept everything. Every drawing, every good grade, every little note you left me. I have boxes of them. Then why? Because I was scared. Her voice broke. You were so smart, so capable. I was afraid that if I didn't push you, if I didn't expect you to be strong, you'd become like Gemma, helpless. So you made me responsible for everything. I made you carry burdens that weren't yours to carry, and I'm sorry. I was crying now, sitting in my sister's abandoned bedroom, holding a letter from my 8-year-old self. Where's Gemma? She's staying with a friend. She got a job at a coffee shop. Gemma got a job. She had to. Grant's gone, her credit cards are maxed out, and we can't help her anymore. How is she? Scared, but maybe that's not a bad thing. I wiped my eyes. What happens now? Now, we figure out how to be a family without using you as the foundation. I don't know if I can trust that. I don't know if you should, but I'd like the chance to try. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet house for a long time. Then I pulled out my laptop and opened Reddit. Aita for evicting my parents after years of financial abuse. This is going to be long, but I need to get this off my chest. I, 32F, have been financially supporting my family for over a decade. My parents consistently favoured my younger sister, 29F, bailing her out of every crisis while expecting me to foot the bill. When they asked me to co-sign a 70k car loan for her after years of this treatment, I snapped. I had secretly bought their mortgage when they fell behind on payments. Instead of helping them, I served them with eviction papers at a family brunch I hosted specifically for that purpose. They're now living in my uncle's guest house. My sister is working her first real job. My family is destroyed, but for the first time in my life, I'm not responsible for fixing everyone else's problems. The thing is, my parents called today. They apologised. They said I wasn't wrong. But I still don't know if what I did was right. So Reddit, aita, I posted it and closed the laptop. Tomorrow, I'd probably get 1,000 responses telling me I was either completely justified or a complete monster. But tonight, I was just going to sit in this empty house and figure out what came next. For the first time in my life, that choice was entirely mine.